Hey everyone, today's video we're going to talk a little bit about our style of gardening that we're adopting this year, and we're going to look at how it works and essentially decide whether or not we want to keep going this way after this year. Let us know what you think down in the comments down below. If you've tried gardening this way or if you've tried gardening in a similar way, we'd love to hear about it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and without further ado, let's get to the video. Whenever we go to a garden center, she needs to buy stuff.
Perennials. We bought some zebra grass today at a local garden store, and I have a little tiny open space right here. So I'm gonna fill it with some cool grass. It's one of my favorite things in the garden.
She will find any space that she can to plant stuff. Jackie will plant that. But the other thing we're gonna do today is we are going to mulch the garden. Oh. As you can see behind me, we do use landscape cloth in our garden, and some people like it, some people don't like it. We'll talk a little about why we use it. So I'm gonna fire up the tractor, we'll get the wood chips, and by the time I get a scoop of wood chips, we'll be back up here. She'll have the wheelbarrow out, and we'll load that up. Does our wheelbarrow get in between the rows?
Probably.
Barely. Oh no.
No, the thingies hit. No, it doesn't.
It's like barely.
Yeah.
We garden with a kind of weird style that I don't know if I've seen anybody do before. It's akin to something like a Routh Stout or a Back to Eden style garden, where you're consistently adding organic material to the top of the bed, planting your plants in that, and then the following year you're adding more material, and you're not tilling it in. You did see us tilling some of the beds earlier this year in this video that I'll link up in the corner, but we didn't till everything because we're going to try this out and we want to see how it goes. Jackie and I really hate weeding, so what we're doing is we are adding a weed barrier down and we're putting mulch on top of that weed barrier. So you can see it's literally just wood chips, nothing special. We get it from a local arborist, and it's a mix of hardwoods, softwoods. There may be pine needles in it, so we do have to keep an eye on the acidity of the soil, but we have pine trees growing right above the garden anyway, so our soil acidity is something that we keep an eye on all the time. But you can see we lay our weed mat down, we plant in there, and then we just put the mulch right over top. And we're only trying this on crops that we plant at the beginning of the year and harvest at the end of the growing season. We're not doing this on things like greens that we would essentially harvest and replant. So no root vegetables, no radishes, nothing like that, no lettuces, because we're going to replant those through the year. We're just doing it on the stuff that we sow once and harvest at the end. Whenever we have extra wood chips from a project, we'll dump them in the chicken run, and the ladies just love picking through them and finding any bugs or anything that's in there. Sometimes our wood chip pile is so big, I'll just go down and grab a scoop with the tractor and dump it in the other side, and you can kind of see all the way back over there is all wood chips. That's just from, I think I've dumped them all the way up in that corner of the run, and they just shuffle them all down there. So wood chips and chickens, even if you're not using wood chips in your garden, getting wood chips and using them just to let your chickens play around in is totally worth it. This is our squash bed over here. We have peppers and cauliflower down there in this bed. And then back there is our tomato bed. First the weed barrier goes down, then the mulch goes on top of that. In the fall, we'll pull that weed barrier up, but then we'll leave the mulch. Essentially, we'll just slide the weed barrier out from under the mulch. The idea being that over the time, and much like the back to Eden style of gardening where you continuously build material, we're still doing that, but we don't have to weed because we hate weeding. One of the keys for this is that we let these wood chips compost for about a year before we put them into the garden. If you were just to throw fresh wood chips on top of this, it would work. However, it'd be much slower to break down. Because we have a barrier between our composted organic material from last year and these wood chips that we just put down, it's not going to compost at the rate that a back to Eden wood chip layer would. By letting these compost for a year before we put them on top of the weed barrier, they're half composted, and when we roll them off the weed barrier onto the dirt that's below it, they'll compost really quickly. It's like the nicest soil on the property.
Yep, it was all under this tree.
Look at that, New England, you dig a rock,
You get a hole.
you get a hole.
That. But I could split them next year too. 'Cause that's what I did with those ones over there. Is I split them all when I bought them.
This is new for us. We're not sure how it's going to work yet. I haven't been able to find anybody else doing this style of gardening, so we're going to see how it works and continue on with it in the future if it ends up working well. That's pretty much it for today's video. Thanks for subscribing if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions or any comments on what we're doing in the garden.